So you bought a new Insta360 One X, you got it home, took it out and played with it, saw how cool it was that it gets rid of the selfie stick that comes with it and the footage, thought how awesome it was that you can just aim it wherever you want after you film, don't have to worry about aiming it when you use it, and you thought, let's put this on my chest mount and see if I can get some good mountain bike footage with it. Sound familiar? Well, I did the same thing, and as you probably could have seen in the first video I posted on my channel, it didn't turn out so great. I ended up getting a lot of footage that looked like this. So once I got home and reviewed this footage, I was pretty disappointed in it. I thought, this can't be the best that this camera can do. So I spent the last week or so getting the phone app out for this camera and going through it and trying to find the best settings to work as a chest mount camera. I've been using this as a POV camera for a little while now, and I think I've finally found the settings to make this thing work. So using the custom settings that I found in the phone app that work the best, this is what my footage is looking like out of the Insta360 One X now. So what did I learn in my experimenting with this camera? Well, I've learned if you leave this thing in auto, it makes the worst possible decisions. It overexposes the image, and I feel like the reason you get that weird blurring, pulsating look in it is that it chooses shutter speeds that are too slow for the action that's happening. If you think about a still photograph, if your shutter speed is really slow, it takes a while to close and make that photograph. So if you have something like a bike moving through the frame really fast and that shutter is moving really slow, that bike's going to be very blurry. If you apply the same principles to this mounted on your chest with things whirring by you and it's bouncing around and wobbling, it's going to create a lot of weird motion blur effects in the video. And then when you add the stabilization that this camera does electronically through the software, it stabilizes that footage, but the blur remains, so you have that weird effect. So let's go into the phone app and see exactly how I changed my settings and what worked for me. And I'll explain to you how to find the right settings for your situations, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we've got the phone app open here. I have the 360 camera right here. So the way I'd like to start is immediately go into this and change that to manual. So that's going to make our picture really bright and blown out, which we don't want. So the first thing we're going to do, this icon here is our shutter speed icon. It's got a little circle with a bunch of lines in it to represent the shutter speed. And I'm going to change that to 1/500th of a second, or a bigger number that goes off here to the left. So I found 1/500th of a second to be fast enough to keep from having that weird blurring effect going on in my footage. And then the way we're going to adjust the brightness of our scene, so say this is still way too bright or it's way too dark, we'll go here and click the ISO icon. So you want to theoretically keep this as low as you can to keep your footage from being grainy, but seeing as in here it's still a little dark at 100, we'll try different ones, see which brightness looks the best. And we want to do this while our camera is still pretty much set up with just changing the shutter speed. So that's going to show us at 800 ISO the brightness looks about right. So then we'll come over here and we'll go to white balance, and you can do the same thing and pick through these and find the one that looks the most true to life. And I can tell you by looking here in real life, the sunny white balance seems to be the closest to the way my eye sees it, so we'll select that. Then the last thing you want to do, this is going to vary depending on how you handle your workflow after you shoot your footage. If you want to get the absolute most out of your 360 camera, hit this button here that says log. When you do that, you'll notice the picture gets really flat and gray looking. What that does is it allows the camera to capture a lot more information. So you'll have more information in your highlights, the brightest part of your image, and your shadows, which are the darkest parts of the image. So once you do that, it gives you the ability to then go into your editing program and pull more information out of that. However, if you don't do much editing on the computer and you prefer to do everything in the phone, you can't use this log program. Insta360's app for the phone will not open or edit log footage. So if you're doing everything in the phone, unfortunately, you're stuck with what you've got here. If you are, however, being able to use Insta360 Studio on your laptop or your desktop, definitely go for log, because then when you're done editing, you can click Color Plus and it will color grade it for you. And if you want the absolute most out of your footage, you can export it still flat and gray like this, and then take it into a program like DaVinci Resolve or Premiere and give it your color grade yourself. And I'll put a link up here to one of the Lone Ranger's videos about color grading footage. I find he uses the same program that I use and a very similar technique to the way I grade my footage, whether it's from my 360 camera or my Sony a7 III. So check out his video on the color grading part. So now that we've discussed how to get all the settings looking great on the 360 cam, I do want to give you some caveats. When you're using the 360 One X and you're putting it in manual mode, you're taking away the camera's ability to auto expose for different lighting situations. So if you're riding along in the woods and you're in the deep shade and you have your camera set for that, and then you pop out into a section of field that you have to ride through for a while that's really brightly lit, it's going to be way too bright. So in order to do that, you're going to have to stop, get your phone out, get into that app and change your settings again to match that. And then when you get back into the woods, into the deep shadow again, you're going to have to complete that whole process another time. So that's the biggest issue I've found so far using the One X as a point of view camera on mountain bike. This is the best I've been able to come up with so far. And that's one reason that I'm going to be probably using a Hero 7 for my main point of view camera. The 360 is awesome for all the things that it can do, and I'm definitely going to keep it and keep using it on my mountain bike channel as well as my photography channel. But it's just not the best camera for point of view shooting. However, I hope that if this is the only camera you've had, this video will help you get those shots you're looking for. Because if you're willing to put in the time to go through and change those settings to make it work out for the situations you're riding in, it's 100% worth it. It looks so much better than just leaving it in auto, and it's a lot more competitive with the footage you can get out of a GoPro with the settings done appropriately. So guys, if this is the camera that you've got, no need to worry. You can still get good enough looking footage out of it. It just takes a little bit of work. And if not, hope you found this interesting anyway, because this was a fun video to make. It helped me a lot, and I hope it helps you guys a lot. So until next time, guys, keep it on two wheels.